Hi boys and girls, welcome to another baking day. Today we're going to make one of Kirsten's favorites, a crumb cake. It's actually Cake Boss Buddy Velastro's recipe, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. So to get started, we start with the crumb topping, and this is a double recipe. It's going to make a lot of crumb topping, but it has to be made first so that it can cool before you put it into your mixture. So you're going to need 2/3 of a cup of sugar, of white sugar. Get out my knife and level it off. 2/3 of a cup of white. You're also going to need 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar. You can use dark if you have dark. I don't have dark. I just happen to have light. It's not really going to alter the taste all that much. Now, my students know that when you use brown sugar, you got to really pack it in like it's sand. So put your scoop in and press it in, just like we've done in the past, and get a good full 2/3 of a cup. You need 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon. 1½. About a half. You need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I didn't have that measurement out. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Whoa. Pour some of that out. A little too much went in. There we go. You need 2 sticks of melted butter. It's a lot, I'm telling you this, but this is going to be worth it. And you need 3½ cups of cake flour. Now, I will be sending you the recipe of how to make cake flour when I send the video, because I know that not a lot of families have cake flour at home, and you don't have to have cake flour. So I need 3½ cups. I don't know where my full cup, there it is, it's still in the sink. So I need 3½ cups. Let's level it off. This is just 1 cup, so it's going to take a minute to put in 3½ cups. 1. 2. I'm making a mess. It's going everywhere. It's part of the fun of baking. 3. And now I have an interior line inside my scoop that tells me where a 1/2 scoop is. Secondly, that's just UPS delivering a package. So there's my 3½ cups of cake flour. Now to mix this up, you use a pastry blender. And if you don't have a pastry blender, you just use 2 knives. And you just continue to cross and mix them together. So if you don't have a pastry blender, you can just use 2 knives very easily. I have a pastry blender, so I'm going to just turn, twist, and mix it all together. If you don't have a pastry blender, use the knives. It's just going to take a whole lot longer. Oh my. Okay. It's got a nice little package from UPS. Looks like. Okay, this is looking, it should look a little more crumbly than this. It's not as crumbly. I'm going to add a little more cake flour to it. Okay, I'm going to add just a little more cake flour because it should look a little more crumbly. This looks a little too well mixed. So if that happens, just add a little bit of extra flour because right now it's really sticking together a little too well. So I'm going to just, there, this is looking better. There we go. Now I'm going to let this sit by itself. It looks a little better now, so it should look a lot like that, just big chunks. Okay? And that's for the crumble. We're going to put that on top in a minute. So let's go ahead and make the cake now. And let's see. For the cake, we're going to need I'm going to need 2.5 cups of cake flour. So I've got to get my cake flour out again. Where's my cup scoop? I put it over on the counter. So I'm going to need a cup of this. Now I just ran out, but luckily I have another box of cake flour. So I need a cup. Let's go ahead and level it to make sure I have exactly enough. Nice and level. Perfect. I need another one because I need 2.5 cups. Looks perfect. I need another 1/2 cup. And I've got that internal line inside my one measuring cup so I can see it. Great. I now need a whole cup of white granulated sugar. Whole cup. Whole cup. Let's level it off. Make sure that it's, there we go, 1 whole cup of sugar. I need a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. I only have my 1/4 teaspoon out, so I'm going to use it twice. 1, 2, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I still only have my 1/4 teaspoon out, so I have to put in 2. I'm going to just slowly mix this just to incorporate it all together. Now I'm going to add in my butter because that's the next part we're going to add in. And this is 12 tablespoons of butter. So it's a stick and a half. 8. I'm going to just cut off chunks and start to put it in. A little bit at a time. This is room temperature butter, not cold, not melted. Just room temperature butter. And just cut off the chunks, throw them in. Pull another bit, because there's a lot. Seems to me all these recipes I'm sending to you guys, there's a ton of butter. I feel like Paula Deen. There just seems to be so much butter in all these recipes. That one cake took, what, 3 sticks of butter in all? It's crazy. But I think you'll be very happy with this recipe. This is a family favorite. Okay, there's all of my butter. Get it incorporated. While the butter is incorporating, you're going to want it to look a little bit like crumbs. It's not supposed to be a creamed mixture. It should just look like crumbs right now. Okay, so we have to give it 1 to 2 minutes just to keep mixing. And then we're going to add in eggs, egg yolks, vanilla, and some buttermilk. Okay? And then we'll be ready to put it in the pan. It's looking like it needs a little bit longer. You're not trying to make a creamed mixture. This isn't like a regular kind of cake. It's a little different. That looks good. So I'm going to take this off just so you can see it because I can't leave my camera. It should just look like it's still kind of just dry ingredients. That's exactly what you want. It's not a cream mixture. Put this back on, and now I'm going to add in 2 eggs, 2 complete eggs. 1. Sorry, the dog is running around the house. That's what you're hearing. Ah! And egg number 2. And then we need to add in 2 egg yolks, which Kirsten has already taken out for me and separated. 2 egg yolks. And now we need vanilla, but you know I never measure the vanilla. 2 teaspoons of vanilla. 1. Yeah, that looks like 2. A little extra, not gonna hurt. And then 2/3 of a cup of buttermilk. Now I had to make buttermilk, so I'm gonna end up throwing out some of this milk. I only need 2/3, so I'm gonna pour it out till I get to exactly 2/3. I had to make a whole cup because I didn't have any buttermilk in the house today. So I'll put that in my recipe of how to make buttermilk, and I have to pour in my 2/3 buttermilk. And our cake is just about done. There we go. While that is mixing, I'm going to spray my pan because this tends to stick. I do have a sill pat that's on the bottom of my pan. You don't have to do that. You can line it with parchment paper. I just happen to have one that's exactly this pan size. Okay, I'm going to turn it up a little bit just to get it really going. You want it nice and light and fluffy. So it's going to take about 2 minutes for this to fully mix. I do want to scrape the bottom right now. Get all this off because there's some high up on the mixer and I want to get all that down. And scrape the bottom as well. Peppa is crazy, but you all know that. She's being egged on by somebody behind the camera who doesn't want to show her face. I bet you can guess who it is. That's her, all right. She thinks this is funny. Okay. Get myself cleaned up a little bit here because I'm going to be ready to put this in the pan. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I think you're going to like this a lot. It's looking nice and creamy, and I think I'm ready to go ahead and put it in my pan. I'll show you what it looks like on this end. Scrape off my paddle. If you're using just regular beaters, it works the same. Go ahead. It should look nice and creamy like a regular batter. Go ahead and pour it in. Get it all scraped out. Okay. Now, spread this out into your pan. Okay, now you're going to use your crumble. Now your crumble should be hard at this point because your butter has kind of solidified again. So you just take big chunks and put it in your pan. I'm going to show you in just a minute once I get a few chunks in here how it should be looking. You don't want to spread out just a flat layer of crumble. You want it to take up the whole space, just great big chunks. And this it'll rise nicely inside the cake. It'll be pretty good. So I'm going to come over to the camera in just a second so you can see what this looks like. So when you are making this at home, you know what you are looking for. Okay, and I'm going to not sit here and do this the whole time, but if you look, you can see that I just got great big chunks. Okay, I'm going to finish doing this. I'm going to put it in a 325 oven, and it takes 35 to 40 minutes to cook. And I'll see you on the other side when we're ready to take it out of the oven. Bye-bye.